Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to Focus Africa series. I am Success Brighter, host on the show, and today I'm going to have a very special guest in the house. His name is Mr. Daniel Y. Nang. Daniel Y. Nang is the CEO of Dancing Ghana Limited. Welcome to the show, Mr. Daniel.
Thank you, Bryce.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very great here.
It's good to have you on this program today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I'll do a brief. Focus Africa series is a program, a platform where we interview successful leaders from across Africa, sharing their success stories and also the challenges they've had getting to where they are. And this is meant to inspire others to become very productive. Mr. Daniel, you need to do something about your lights so that we can get to see your face very, very well.
Okay, just give me a second. Give me a second. Just a second.
All right, all right. All right, so on this show, like I said before, we try to talk about the stories of people who are making impact across communities where they live and across board in other countries to make impact in people's lives. And on this show, we're having Mr. Daniel White in the studios this afternoon for the first time. So we're going to be discussing African youths in business and leadership. And if there's one person to talk about this, discuss this topic with me today, Daniel fits in the place. Because Daniel has been actively driving businesses in Ghana, and the businesses have been making impact. And recently, he's been involved with a lot of UN projects and has done quite a number of things in the area of IT for Ghana government, Ghanaian government, and also. So I know that Mr. Daniel is the right person to discuss African youth in business and in leadership today on this series. So while we wait for him to come right back, I'm going to go ahead to tell you a bit more about Mr. Daniel. Daniel Wenang is the Executive Director of the Ghana Limited, that's in Innovation Social Organization and Destiny Micro Credit Services located in Banga, Upper East region in Ghana. He is an entrepreneur and business development and customer care consultant, a motivational speaker, and a trainer of personal and entrepreneurial development. He is an advocate of private sector development as well as a youth entrepreneurship and women empowerment enthusiast. He is also an author of two powerful self-help books. One of the books is Negative to the Top, From Nothingness to Greatness. The Pilot and ultimate Inspirational Manual for You is the second book. Both books can be found on Amazon. Daniel speaks regularly at seminars and conferences of all categories to all set of people, including corporate staff, students, groups, churches, entrepreneurial conferences, and all that. In fact, 2 years ago, or last year, 2019, Daniel was in Lagos, Nigeria, speaking at Africa Leadership and Economics Summit, and his contributions at that program was quite exclusive. Daniel is currently a doctoral student at the University of Ghana Business School. He holds a Master of Philosophy and Master of Business Administration MBA at Kumasi, and a bachelor's degree from the University of Cape Coast. Daniel is married with 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and lives with a lovely family in Ghana. Welcome to this series once again, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to start with some of the projects you are presently having with both the Ghanaian government and the EU. And can you tell us more about those projects and how they're making impact across the country of Ghana?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. It's an opportunity to be here to share the few experiences that I have. Talking about the projects in Ghana with the Ghanaian government, I think The key ones are what we do with the Ministry of Business Development and NEIP. NEIP means National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program. It is under the Ministry of Business Development that tries to look at how they can support young businesses in Ghana. So we have this program where we do training for young businesses and those who want to start. Then the government will give them some financial support to be able to do their businesses so that the private sector can be supported to provide more jobs to help reduce the unemployment situation in our country. And that's one of them. Then there's another one where we look at how we can even start giving these young people, a mindset of business while they are still in school. So that one, we go to the school, second cycles, and even the universities to talk to these young people on how to prepare their minds before they even come out of school. So that, when we're in the university, we used to think that when you come out, the whole world was just yours and you come and get job easily and then you can build your life. But when we finished, when we completed, it was something else. The jobs are not readily available. And so we try to let them understand that instead of just expecting that someone will give you a job after school, why don't you start thinking of what you can do for yourself in terms of starting a business to employ yourself and possibly employ others so that you'll be a change maker instead of expecting someone to do something for you. Because the governments in our part of the world, Africa, and even beyond, these days find it difficult to employ everybody. They can't. So this is what we are doing to be able to prepare the young people, even while they are in school, to be able to be change makers. These are the key things. Then the other things I do with other partners, we do this kind of training with other partners across the world, like the MasterCard Foundation, who give us some money and we support young people and change our communities. We have the World Bank, who is also one of the people that support us. We have the Ministry of Communications that plays what's the name, catalytic role, between some of the foreign donors and us here. So the money with the Ministry of Communications Ghana is not coming from the government of Ghana, but they are able to, channel some of the foreign donors through their ministry and to support us. So I have another one that we do with them. And then we have another one from Reach for Change Africa. They are also supporting the communities, trying to make changes in communities. So they are also our partners. And the Social Enterprise Ghana, another, what's the name, a social changer in the community who also supports us and we make change in the community. So these are some of the partners. And as I speak yesterday, I met with another group of partners from Mest Africa. I don't know whether you have heard of Mest Africa. They were at our place yesterday. Yes, they were at our place yesterday for us to also engage in an MOU to do a lot for our community also. So basically, these are some of the things we've been doing. Apart from the fact that we do on our own, we initiate programs on our own to make change in our community by way of training young people, giving them entrepreneurial skills and digital skills to be able to start their own businesses and also employ other people. And that's what we've been doing, basically. And so that is for the Dancing Innovation Social Organization. Then we have the Dancing Microcredit, where we give microcredit services. We give some of these people come with good ideas. They start businesses and you can see that they are doing well. And when you look at it and it's working well, the major challenge is always finance. So we can come in to give equity. So one of our companies is a microcredit. So we give equity and we also support other SMEs who need finance but cannot get it from the traditional banks. So basically that's what we do.
All right, Mr. Daniel, I've seen quite a lot from your profile. You're the executive director of Dancing Ghana Limited, Dancing Innovation Social Organization, Dancing Microcredit Services. And just recently, you went back to school after having a master's of philosophy and a master's of business administration. Are you planning to become a lecturer?
At the moment, I'm not so sure, but I just decided to do the PhD because of the consultancy we do. Trying to do more of research, understand more about research, But when passion changes, why not? Once we train people, we teach people and all that, it is not too far from lecturing. Who knows? Later in life, after 60 years, when I want to relax a bit, maybe I can lecture.
All right, because I asked you on a lighter note because we're quite happy with what you're doing right now. We've done quite a lot of study on the activities of your companies and we've seen the impact you're making in the city of Ghana. A lot of people we spoke to have testified to the fact that your company, especially the microcredit company, is making a lot of impact in fact, when in people's businesses and helping them. So it would be good you continue doing this and like you say, retire with being a lecturer when you are 120.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go right into the discussion. We don't have a lot of time on this show today. And today we decided to talk about African youth in business and in leadership. So let me start with leadership. The master said that everything rises and falls on leadership. So it is very, very important if you are going to survive, do well in every aspect of your life. You have to be a leader to reckon with. So what, in your words, is leadership?
Okay, thank you very much, Bright. I think without having to do a lot of academic preachment, let me be very brief in my understanding of leadership. I think leadership means basically casting visions and motivating people. And in other words, to just say it in one word, I think leadership means influence. And what it means further is that to lead means to have somewhere you want to go and you want to motivate other people around you to support you to get to where you want to be. That means, first of all, you must have a vision. You must have a direction. And then, having the direction, you try to motivate other people. Because if I have a direction, I have a vision, you may not know the vision. It depends on how I can encourage and motivate you and let you see what I can see. It's like going somewhere where there's no road and you want to go. You know where you want to go, but you cannot find the road. Then, and so let's say it's a jungle and you want to go somewhere and you can't find a road. How do you find your way to pass and get there? So the best way may be to climb a very tall tree and then you can see beyond the jungle. Other people may be down there to support you. You give them direction and they will cut the jungle towards where you can see where you want to go. So a leader will be like that. You have a vision, you can see what others don't see. It behoves on you to let them understand that this is where we are going and this is what it takes us to get there and this is what we will get when we get there by motivating them. Basically, that's a leadership.
Okay, so let's take this to another context. There are three P's of leadership. We have passion, patriotism, and progressiveness. What remarkable role does this play when you talk about good leadership? Passion, being patriotic, and being progressive. What role does these things play in leadership?
Well, passion is very important if we are talking about leadership. If you want to go somewhere, you don't have the passion to get there, I don't think you'll be able to go. You can't motivate anybody. You can't encourage anybody. When I have a business and I want to pursue my business, I have employees, I want them to buy into my vision to get to where I'm going, and I don't have passion myself. I don't think the people will follow me. I don't think they'll be cooperative enough to support me. If I'm not doing things that will lead towards the goal or the vision I'm going by way of progressive in my way of doing things, I don't think I'll be able to get people rally behind me to really achieve my vision. And so all these things are very important. They play a role. They give the people around you the indication that you really know what you want, you know where you are going, and when they support you, you get there together with them. They are not going to crash.
Unfortunately, Mr. Daniel, African governments, African people, unfortunately, we are still very much open to charity instead of good leadership. It is a very sorry state we are in. We are open to donations from developed countries. Look at the pandemic that just happened. All of us are waiting for things to be delivered from Brazil, from the US, from China to help us fight the pandemic. We are not developing anything. Even the ones who are developing, we are not pushing them enough. So we don't have good leadership, if you have to call it by name. Do you think people are leading enough? Do you think our youth are taking their position? Do you think that our current crop of leaders in the continent are doing well?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think it is something that happens in the whole of Africa, and it is our orientation, basically. So the root cause is in our orientation. Even in politics, for a politician to be voted into power, beginning with politics, you know, he has to spend money, he or she has to spend money. People vote, some of them because of what they will get and not what the person can do for them. And so even we, the electorate, are to blame, partly. And so if I've spent a lot to be elected or for you to vote for me, what do you think when I get into power? I would like to get back what I have invested. And so this one begins with all of us. So the time that we can find ways of resolving this will be for all of us to know that we should push leaders to be able to do things that will be sustainable and to be, let's say, for posterity's sake, instead of what we can get when the person gets there. So we all want to do things for ourselves, greed, all of us. So we vote for people, and when they get there, we tell them, I must get back what I spent on you and all that. And the leader is hot. And so he has to dance here and there. He has to find ways of taking what doesn't belong to them and all that. And then what happens? They can't do what they're supposed to do. That is what happens in Africa. All of us is in our orientation. So we should start changing, having a paradigm shift, where we should all know that we should be patriotic to know that, yes, Africa is for us. To develop our countries or our continent, we must get the right people there and let them do the right thing. Instead of the greed that we do, we pull people down and put people that will do things just for their selfish interest instead of those people who are coming to probably make changes. How many African leaders can we count that they've been in power and they've made significant changes and have left legacy? There are not many. It's because some of them, even with good intentions, when they get there, they can't do it because of we that are around them. So what is the way forward? The way forward, I think, is for us to relook at ourselves, even the children, when they are in the school, basic school, to the second cycle, to the universities. Let's start finding, getting what we call a paradigm shift. Try to teach them on patriotism. That yes, Nigeria is for you and I. Ghana is for you and I. It is not for today. It is for posterity, for our children and their children's children. What can we invest today? So that even if I will not meet it, my children and my children's children will meet it. But we don't think like that. We think of what we can get now. And when a leader is in power, he's not thinking of what will happen in the years after him to come. He's thinking of what he can get now, right now. When he gets out of power, everything collapses, he doesn't care. And that is how our mindset is in Africa. What we can get. And even when we leave projects and other leaders come, we want to leave projects that they cannot continue. We want to leave projects that will collapse them. We put traps that will make them fall and will not do well for our countries. And that is very wrong for us. We are so myopic. We don't think far. We just think of our immediate needs. And that is what happens. So this blame is for the leaders and it's for all of us. So the way forward is for all of us to have a proper reorientation towards our continent.
Wow. Okay. So, Mr. Daniel, as someone whose company is involved in microcredit services to people, recently in Lagos, I had a discussion with an MD of a company that is into credit facilities for that help businesses with credit facilities and other. And he made a shocking revelation. He said that 8 out of 10 people you give facilities to help run their businesses do not return the money. It goes into bad loan. They don't get it back. to the source where they got the money from to do businesses and all that. What do you think has become the challenge? Because if you look at it in Africa, it's becoming increasingly difficult for businesses to survive. What is actually the problem? Is it that the government policies are not favorable, or that there is no self-determination to survive in business and move forward?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to state that the microcredit or microfinance industry is a very risky one. Anywhere that you have to deal with money, that people, you part money with people, even in our everyday lives, if you want to build good relationships and money comes in, it becomes a problem. We are friends and you have a little challenge. You come for money. Payment is a problem. How to pay back is a problem. People find it difficult to build integrity for themselves. And then, and when it comes to borrowing money for business, most of the time, we, the people giving the loans, must do a lot of due diligence. And that is why we have been in the business since 2010, that's 10 years ago. And I have seen a lot. I have lost a lot of money. To one customer alone, I lost over 300,000 Ghana cedis. I don't know in Lagos, I don't know how much in Naira, how much it will be, but in dollars, I think that would be more than 50,000, around $60,000, $70,000. To one customer, I've lost that before. And so, and I never got the money back. So it is just the way businesses are actually, most people start businesses without understanding how to run a business. Most people have problem in business and it has nothing to do with money, but they look for money to try to solve the problem. So we, those given the money, must do due diligence. We don't just give money to people because they've come to apply for loan. We try to find out how you want to use the money, do a lot of proper due diligence about your business and where you want to invest the money. If we realize that it's not money you need to solve the problem, we are not so eager to just give you money because we are looking for profit. We'd rather advise you and we let you solve the problem without the money. Most people, when they have money to even invest in the business, they divert it. That is one of the challenges of our young business people. And I'll come to that later, where I look at young African businesses who start business last year, and this year they want to own a very expensive car. 1 year in business, you want everybody to know you have arrived. It doesn't work like that. So sometimes no money problem. It is something else, and you are looking for money. So we, those doing microcredit services, must understand and not be so gullible to giving money to anybody that comes looking for money, so that we can protect our businesses. That is very, very important.
All right. Now, on the scale of things, I need to ask you this question and you explain it from how you understand it, especially also being a hands-on person. When you want to start a business, there are three basic things you need in this life: idea, money, and people. Which comes first, which comes second, and which comes third, and why?
The idea comes first because you must know what you want to do. So if you have the idea, you really have to be sure of two things. One, that idea, do you have passion for it? What you want to do? Is this so passionable to you? Are you so passionate about it? That's number one. Number two, you have to know whether you have the ability to do or the expertise to do that business you want to do. You may have the passion, but you don't have the expertise. If I want to do a business in medical field, I have to be very careful because I may not have expertise in medical field. I'm not saying that you must have expertise in every business before you go in. No, you can put the right people to do it, but you have to have a basic understanding to be able to know some of the challenges that can come with that business yourself before you can even bring expertise to do it. So these two things are very important for you to start a business, for the idea to work. Now you will need people because you cannot succeed without people. So when you have people, money will be last. When you have people, you are halfway gone. You cannot achieve anything in this world without people. We all need people. So when you have the right people who can support you to do the business, sometimes you may not have money. But once you have the people, your idea will come to fruition. And so because people is money. If you have people, you have money. And so money will be last. So but one of the excuses we give as young business people is, I have a good idea, but I don't have money. Money should be last. Yeah, and it also depends on what you actually want to do. What do you want to do? If you want to do something as a young man, a business that is very, very, capital intensive, and you want to do it, you don't even have a quarter of it, and you are thinking of that kind of business, it may be very profitable to start thinking of something you can do that may not be that big, gradual and build experience before you get to that very big one. Because there, when you make a slight mistake and you fall, it will be difficult to rise up. So let's build experiences with something we can do with small money. Then when we get the experience, we better go for the bigger ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Most successful business people I've spoken to on this show and off this show have maintained that you need idea first, you need people, and you need money. So that brings me to my next question. If all of you have agreed on one system, one procedure to get things going in life, when do I know, as an African youth who want to go into business, who want to become an entrepreneur, when do I know that my ideas are good and are sellable?
Well, so first of all, even if you have an idea, it may be convincing to you, but maybe it is not workable. So you must do what we call feasibility studies. You must find out from the people that are going to patronize your product or service. So you find out a survey, whichever way you can find out, test to see whether it will work. That is the only way. It can be 100% convincing to you, but it may not work. So you must go out there, find out, share. So sometimes we fear to try to share our ideas with friends. Say, oh, somebody will steal the idea. So I'll keep quiet and just quickly, I'll just launch it and make money. No. Yeah, so if you have a vision, somebody may try to steal it, but most of the time, the person cannot do it like you will do it if you really mean it. People in Africa, and young people, what we do, rush to want to do it. We don't even know why they are doing it, but because we've seen that the person is making money, we rush into that one to do it. And before long, we fail. And that is what happens. We don't have a vision. We just see somebody doing business, and because we want to, put something on the table, butter and bread, we rush. So let me also do it. You don't even have a vision, and that is why most African businesses don't live beyond the vision carrier. After he goes, the business goes. It may not even reach that level. The business goes because you just saw others doing and you did. You never really thought through. You never found out. You never tried to look at how far that business can go before you started it.
All right. Okay. So how many times my ideas are good, I have deployed, but there are variables. There are things that are unforeseen, unplanned for. Even sometimes you plan to succeed, but something else plans you and you fail. So how many times am I supposed to fail and to know that to know that this idea is not going to work? Or should I consistently keep working on the same thing and expect a different result? These are the everyday challenges the youth face, yeah.
Yeah, so once you have tried everything and you are very convinced that it will work, let me tell you, there's no idea that is too bad. You can try, right? You can try 1,000 times, it will fail. And another person will try it 3 times and it will work. It all depends on your approach. So you should be very smart. There's no way you say, this is how I plan, and it must follow that way to work. No, you have to be changing your approaches. And if you ask me how many times you do, I think countless times. There's no number. If only you know what you are really about, and you are very sure, and you are convinced that the thing is to work. So if it's not working, it is the approach. So you keep changing the approach. You keep changing the approach. And
Okay,
so you look at a light bulb. How did the light bulb come about? How many times did he try before? Over 1,000 times, because he was convinced that it could happen. How many of us would try 1,000 times? We will not.
Okay, Mr. Daniel, one of the major challenges of setting up businesses and running entrepreneurial projects in Africa is capitalization. A lot of people find it difficult to raise capitals, and of course, you know that banks in Africa hardly give money. to startups. They can give to established risk takers, risk-taking businesses that they've known over some time and other. But to give money to startups, especially young people, it's not easy to come by with banks and established financial institutions. So, and a youth want to start something, and a youth is asking me on this show today, asking you on this show today, and say, how do I raise funds? What are the alternative sources of raising funds for my ideas?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that it is even wrong for a startup to borrow money to start business. It is completely wrong. Once you do that, it is going to cripple you for a long time. When are you going to make the profit to pay back and to start making your own profit to sustain? So I will advise that for a startup, instead of looking for money to start by way of borrowing, why don't you use what we call the bootstrapping strategy? There's something we call the bootstrapping strategy, where you look at the little money you can save. Maybe when we were young, they used to say family and friends can give you. These days, I don't hear that much. So, but how can you save? Somebody can support you here, a gift here and there, but basically your own savings, the little you can save, and start small. And then you allow yourself to grow organically with patience. Organic growth. Anything that will grow well takes time. So you let yourself grow organically, you plow back profits gradually, and then you make sure you are moving gradually. And you are, once this year is better than last year, you are moving forward. Next year is better than this year, you are moving forward. Instead of rushing and comparing yourself with others, and then you jump into trouble by borrowing. So even if you have to borrow at a stage, you have to analyze 3 steps. Even in business today, as I sit here, if I want to borrow money to support my business and the need is high, I have to go through what we call the pecking order theory, even if I'm already existing. If you are a startup, use the bootstrapping. If I'm in existence and I want to support my business, invest in it, and grow faster, I have to use what we call the pecking order theory, where the rules are there. That number one, for you to look for money to invest in that business, you have to consider first of all, whether you have enough profit to plow back. That's first option. If there's enough profit, we've made enough profit this year, don't spend all the profits. And that will also depend on the dividend policy of the business. There's something called dividend policy. That's the profit sharing agreement. How do we share profit when we make money? That's not one man's business I'm talking about. So if it is that, all right, when we make profit, we should share 50% of it to the shareholders, and the rest will be plowed back. Then we use the 50% left if we make profit to put back into the business, and it will help us to grow. But if that doesn't support, maybe a particular year we want to grow, but we don't have money, we have not made profit, what happens? The first option is not working, so you go to the next option. And that one, you say use debt. Use debt means borrow, but make sure the interest rate is very good enough that the profit you are going to make will be far higher than the interest you have to pay so that you can sustain. So go for debt if the interest rate is good enough to help you and not crumble the business. If that one doesn't work for you, you go for the last one where you can float shares. We call it your equity. You can let other people come and join and bring money. You float shares and people will bring money. But we are talking about young businesses who may not be here. So for them, they should just do what we call the bootstrapping strategy, where you have to struggle with your personal savings gradually, start small and be growing gradually, organically. Don't rush and want to buy a car when it's not time for you to buy a car. That kind of spend less, live within your means until you are big enough to do what you want to do. Thank you.
All right. As we close, Mr. Dan, I have many questions to ask you on this show today, but we're going to have another time we can have you fully on the program and ask you more questions so that you can share from your weight of experience. Now, it's been established that the ease of doing business in the continent is not really very easy. It's not really easy doing business in this continent, in Africa, because of many factors ranging from policies from governments and even the things we do to ourselves and all that. But you are already doing well in business, and you keep expanding even with the harsh conditions and all that we're seeing in the society. Now, I want to ask you a very, very particular question regarding how we are able to help ourselves grow in businesses. At a times like this, where you see some crises in South Africa, you see some crises even in Ghana, where some group of people are frustrating the efforts of other nationals doing businesses in the country and other. What do you think from your own experiences, having been in business and also growing in business? What do you think we all need to do to help each other grow as far as trade is concerned in this continent?
Thank you, Bright. I think it still boils down to what I spoke about our orientation. We are very greedy. As a black man, I heard a story when I was young that there was a tree climbing competition between a black man and a white man. So first, it was the turn of the white man to climb. So not the black man first. So he started. The white man was encouraging him. Oh, you can do it. Go up. You can do it. Encouraging him. At the end of the day, the black man couldn't climb the tree. He came down. Now the white man took over. When the white man just started, the black man said, "Come down if you can't. If you can't climb, come down." And that is our mentality. We don't want another person to go up. We always think of how, once I cannot do it, you shouldn't be able to do it. And that is why even in Africa, if you want to make an impact, it's difficult to make an impact in your own hometown or your village because people don't want you to do well. People know your roots and they don't want you to do well. They would prefer to help somebody they don't know than someone they know. And so that is still our orientation, the greed and to see another person do well. And that is another reason why in Africa, people don't partner to do businesses. For a business to grow well and to be a corporate giant, you may not be able to do it alone. You need partnership. And so Africa, we don't partner. Everybody wants to be a CEO. So everybody starts their own. And we are struggling. And we don't go far in the business, that kind of. So that is what happens. We don't want to help ourselves because we are greedy. And whatever we cannot do, nobody should be able to do. And that is what has even gone into politics. And that is what has brought, look, it has its own snowball effect on everything we do in our continent. So the greed is our problem. If I can't do, you shouldn't be able to do. And that is very bad. So we should change our orientation.
How do we solve this problem? Should we call a continental conference where all of us will sit on a round table, maybe in a desert, that will be able to accommodate all of us and have a real talk? Because Africa needs to move forward. We cannot just continue to be behind. Since I was giving birth to, I keep hearing that Africa is a third world country and we are still there. So what practical steps should we take to move out from this status quo to something beautiful?
Right, we cannot do it just at once. It must start with you and I. Can you and I start it now? If you want to change the world, what do you change first? Yourself. So you and I, knowing this, have to start changing. That's right. If I have a way of helping you to succeed in whatever I are doing, I should be able to do it. If there's a way you can help me, Bright, do it. If the two of us can start, you see other people watching. Let us start telling our young people in whatever we do, in our whatever conferences we do, let's imbibe this. But it's not about just talking, it's about doing it. Others will see. And it takes time for it to sink in every person in Africa. So it begins with you and I. Let's start it now.
The change begins with us. On this note, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Daniel Wynand, for joining me on this discussion on Focus Africa series today. It's been an interesting time with you. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And to all my viewers across Africa, thank you for keeping date with me. I'll see you next time, this time next week by 12 noon Saturday. It is still Focus Africa series, and my name is Success Bright. Thank you so much, Business Day, for making this happen. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you next week, Saturday.